Welcoming everybody, passing it off to Bill.
Thanks, Kayvan. And I guess I'll get started here. Like to welcome everyone into the event today. We're really excited to have this forum today because it's all about fun and games and turning gaming into a cyber career. So if you're a gamer and you're listening, I hope that we get your attention because we want you. We want you. I really appreciate Fortinet being at the table with us today. Jonathan, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be outstanding. We'll do some real formal introductions in just a minute. But I would like to put a pitch in for why we're here today and talking about gaming, which is the Space Grand Challenge, a cyber competition utilizing cyber skills, forensic skills, analysis, and other capabilities to compete against other schools, other individuals, and try to figure out a kind of a whodunit utilizing some really cool virtual experiences. We think that this gaming is the new way to teach, educate, and provide experiential learning in cyber skills for space, for cyber, for all sorts of activities. And we're just really happy here. We really hope that this discussion today kind of piques your interest, gets you excited, makes you want to kind of participate when you hadn't planned to, or ask more questions about how can we have access to this. And with that, how about we show you a little bit of a video clip on what I'm talking about when it's about virtual spaces used for gamification. So if you will, let's run that clip. Or not. There it is.
Welcome to the Space Grand Challenge. Next decade, they say, is going to be the decade of tech. And in that decade of tech, people like you are going to become really important. The Space Grand Challenge is an esports international competition open to middle and high school students from across the globe. Teams from all over the world will compete in a 3D immersive environment that uses gamification to enhance gameplay. The network connection to the controls linking ground control to the satellite network has been breached. Mission Colossian, the future of the safety of this multi-million-dollar company is at stake. We need your help.
All right, thank you. So that's our small clip on the Grand Challenge, and really it's a lot faster paced than the video showed, but let's get into it. Kayvan, if you'd take us away, please.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Bill. I'm going to start by giving a brief bio update on both our guest speakers today, Jonathan and Bill. Firstly, welcome to Jonathan Nguyen, who is Vice President, Global Field CISO at Fortinet. He has government and commercial experience with a deep understanding of threats, technology, and compliance, as well as business issues. And previously, Jonathan was a security CTO at Verizon Global Security Services. And before that, he served as in the US Foreign Service, gained the opportunity to travel the world. And you've already heard from Bill, but Bill Britton is our Vice President of Information Technology Services and the Chief Information Officer here at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He's also the director of the California Cybersecurity Institute, the CCI. He's responsible for managing the university's information technology enterprise while also building the California Cybersecurity Institute into a nationally prominent education and research facility. Before joining Cal Poly, Bill was at Parsons, developing cyber strategy tools and processes for government and civil and critical infrastructure clients. And Bill started his cybersecurity career, and we hope to learn more about this, as an intelligence officer in the United States Air Force. Welcome, Bill. Welcome, Jonathan. So I'll be playing the role of the moderator today, and I figured that with the first question, maybe it's a softball one, but why not? We called this event, It's All Fun and Games, Turning Gaming into a Cyber Career. And I'd love to get your impression on that title alone, right? What is it? How have you thought about the role of games? How have you thought about the role of gamification as an opportunity, as a conduit towards careers in cyber and technology? Jonathan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think gaming is the basis of just about every human endeavor, because it's about competition. It's about competition on how we utilize scarce resources. And to frame this discussion about cyber is to understand that we are one of those rare inflection points in human history, that we are now entering what is called the fourth industrial revolution. And understanding that the first industrial revolution was about the steam engine in the mid-1800s. The second industrial revolution was really about the advent of the petroleum-based economy in society. The third was about consumerization and development of IT and computing back in the 70s. And now we're on the verge of the fourth industrial revolution, where data becomes the commodity on which all things are built. And the critical thing for people to understand is that with each of these inflection points in human history, that's where the big surge in innovation, the quality of life improvements, life expectancy. And we're talking about an opportunity whereby we take a giant leap forward in the quality of every human's life moving forward. And at the basis of this industrial revolution is data. And cybersecurity basically ensures that that data can be accessed and utilized in a safe and productive way. And gaming and understanding that everything we do in cybersecurity is a game. In fact, all of human society and endeavors are a game. And the practical reality is that every young person today has an opportunity to be a rock star, to be a player, to contribute meaningfully in this game. And so understanding gaming, understanding human drivers, understanding game theory helps us better frame our careers. So the people who are going to be stellar in this new operating dimension are going to be the folks who understand how to game, how to think about in all things in life in their careers, not where the hockey puck as it is today, but where it's going to be, right? And I think that's what I'm trying to deliver in my messaging today, is that the gamers today have a unique opportunity of shaping a much larger, to be part of something much larger than themselves, and really bring about the benefits of a true fourth industrial revolution. So this is the time where cancer can be cured and detected. This is the time when we move beyond the moon in terms of how we reach into space. This is how we go beyond a carbon-based society and economy into renewables. It's going to be the innovations that are data-driven moving forward that changes everyone's lives. And the only way that happens is through cybersecurity. And so I'm really excited by the idea that we convert gaming, which is a great thing, into something very, very productive that delivers the type of innovations we're talking about. So it's a huge honor for me to have this time with you all. So I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you, Jonathan. Let me add something I think is very interesting here. Gaming addresses all ages. Tell me how many other mediums can reach that many ages simultaneously. Now, I sit down and start gaming with my sons, and I am really terrible at it. But that doesn't mean I can't find a shortcut and still win, which is, again, one of those things you're talking about, Jonathan, which is the aspect of what you learn in the gaming environment. And so part of what we're really trying to deliver through the gamification of these cyber skill sets is the fact that the student participating in this competition can walk away saying, I can do these things in cybersecurity. I may have had a gaming background, but I figured out how to do this, or I figured out how to block a firewall, or I figured out how to protect myself. That's what we're trying to get to, is the understanding that the skill sets in cyber, which are critical for us as a nation in the future, can be learned earlier on, can be evaluated through gaming, can be taught through gaming, and can be re-emphasized through gaming. so that the gaming aspect gives you the ability to teach, evaluate, and improve upon your skill sets. And oh, by the way, have a little bit of fun while you're doing it, rather than a computer-based training exercise where it's letter D, E, or F. This is way more. So that whole aspect of the teaming and working collectively, that's just the cool part.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great point, because this is about formal and informal teaming to look at problems from different perspectives and work across boundaries, right? There's that great book by Friedman, that The World is Flat. And this type of gaming exercise really demonstrates the power of collaboration from people of all different, you want to talk about diversity and perspectives. This is the perfect way of doing that. In fact, when you deconstruct this game, this simulation is really what it is. You know, you come up security. This is real. This is every day. This is what we do. Because what you're really doing as a cybersecurity professional at the end of the day is you're gaming against an adversary who also is competing against you for resources, and they are teaming formally and informally on the other side of the fence. So yeah, what we're doing here is actually real life. The parallels are really quite stark.
That's awesome. I mean, my mind's going in a couple directions with a couple themes that you both have shared. So I'm going to actually pull back on a question that I've been wanting to ask both of you, which is the narrative around gaming, right? So this has been something for a long time that I think parents have always had to kind of think about, right? Are games good? And it's a challenge, right? How do we kind of address that issue? I would love to collect your thoughts on that. How do parents, teachers, here we are presenting this as an opportunity for students to grow. How can we think of ways to emphasize that message and kind of somewhat combat the kind of the negative association folks have with gaming? Bill, let's start with you.
Sure. So first of all, if you look at the number of people who are in the cybersecurity business and how many of them are gamers, I'd love to see that number, because it's going to be greater than 80%, without question, greater than 80%. And however, in context, what I'm not trying to say is you have to be a gamer to be in cybersecurity. What I'm saying is the parallels in what you achieve in gaming, the excitement, Jonathan said it right. You don't know who you're competing against. When you're in cybersecurity, you don't know who the bad actor is. You don't know what they've done. Your goal is to figure it out, stop them, and prevent it from happening again. So there's a learning curve that's exceptional in this. All those same attributes occur in gaming. So if you really look at it, the basis of gaming, if you can tie gaming to learning attributes, standards of learning, learning attributes, whatever you want to call it, you can really achieve much greater. And you can test the effectiveness of what you learned. In other words, when you get into the event, you're competing against something that is creating you an unsuccessful experience. You want to change that experience. So again, that self-motivation, that self-drive to perform better. What we think we have here is an opportunity to change the way that we approach skilling, providing skill sets to everyone in the cybersecurity arena. Because today, a lot of it's computer-based training, it's self-paced, you pay to go to classes and other things. What if you could game your way into a better job? What if you could game your way into more pay? What if you could game your way into an interview by showing them your competencies, not having to describe it verbally? That's the game-changing environment that we think we've got here. I think the other attribute that is potential here is the learning element. So everybody involved in this competition at all levels is learning. Even a gray-haired old dude like me is learning as we go through this experience. So it's a learning, shared experience for all involved. There aren't many situations where you really have that kind of feedback mechanism, that kind of growth experience. And again, I think it's really reflective more of how current students listen, learn, achieve. If there's anything that came out of COVID, it's the great digital awakening, the awakening that we have to learn about distance learning. We have to be able to create something more than a two-dimensional Zoom to you experience. Gaming does that, and it gives you opportunity for feedback. It gives you opportunity for growth. So we have to find a way to really make that accelerate to deliver for the future of the world of cybersecurity and digital data and all sorts of analysis. So that's kind of a soapbox, but that's really what's going on here.
Yeah, but I think as long as we frame the object of the exercise, I think gaming gets a bad name because it's viewed as entertainment.
Absolutely.
And reality is those skill sets in a virtual reality world are the foundations of what Web 3.0 is, of metaverse. And I will tell you, that's where we're moving next. This idea that we're going to be able to conduct commerce, communicate, and collaborate in virtual reality. We're not, someone told me, said, Jonathan, today you go to a webinar or a Zoom call or something like this, a virtual meeting. But the next iteration of this type of interaction is going to be this, and all the people in this audience standing together in a wheat field, talking to each other in metaverse.
Yeah.
The next iteration is going to be, you're not playing the game, you're in the game, or you're not watching a movie, you're in the movie. And so the very skill sets that we talk about, communications, collaboration, sharing, leading, now are going to be readily applicable moving forward. But I think the skill sets that Bill mentioned, and the ability to gain skill sets, is a deeply meaningful thing, because it's about adding meaning to your life and adding skill sets, something of value. And I think that's where the differentiation is that this is a means to an end, but it can be entertaining at the same time. But entertainment isn't the object of the exercise, right? It's about learning these skill sets, and these skill sets are the foundation moving forward. I often think about, you remember this, Bill, there was a movie called The Graduate, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now back then,
yeah.
two things came out, right? Don't trust anyone over 30, and then plastics.
Right.
If I were in that movie today, it would be data. The one thing I would tell anybody to watch for is data. And so understanding how data is the building block of all things, right? It's almost elemental in many ways. That's what gaming is now. Now we think about where we're moving next with virtual reality and all things data-driven, understanding game theory and having those skills of understanding how the game is played really positions you to play the game. And what's happening next is essentially a game. And it's already being played. All of our data today is being collected, it's monetized. So these are life skills about how you navigate a data-driven society. So yeah, and we can make it fun along the way. That's awesome.
Jonathan, it's really interesting because like I said, all aspects of the individuals involved in this are learning. What's really the most fun of this is the learning aspect that an individual participating in the game can achieve certain things that they never thought possible. And then you have a complete reward cycle that goes with it. The acknowledgement that you did it, either do a digital badging, the score you got on your evaluation, where your team ended up, your team cooperation with each other. Those are all evaluating skills. Those are things that build your confidence level. And to do this, all you need is the computer necessary to connect into the game and then develop the skills that go along with the game. So really, it's fundamentally easy to get engaged with.
And Bill, you're right. The skills are not perishable, right?
Right.
These are skills that will transcend technology, transcend these macro trends. I think about there were 6 CS candidates that approached me after a speech I gave last week in Raleigh, in Research Triangle. And they said, hey, what kind of job should we be looking at? Because we're CS candidates. I said, what are you being trained for right now? They said, well, we're being trained to manage security operations centers or network operations centers. And I said, look, in 10 years, do you think we'll have those? Are you actually going to be operating technology, or are you going to be governing them, right? And I think that's a clear lesson for a lot of the adults on this call, this session, is that what we really need to ensure is what we're folks for are not today's jobs and not today's skills, but we need to be training them a framework in which they approach these challenges moving forward. And I think, those types of things in gaming really help you do that, because you begin to understand, well, what's the challenge here? How do I play this situation? How do I work with others, right? And how do I begin to anticipate? And it's a way of thinking versus what to think, right? And I think that's something that educators really need to be mindful of about what they're training this generation of folks moving forward to do, right?
Right. And again, I think there's a constructive element of this, which is not all gaming is good. So we're not going off the deep end. We're not driving off the pier. We're saying that constructive gaming, organized, focused, developing learning standards, developing end states, evaluation tools, that's life. That is so reflective of what we do on a daily basis. And the fact that we can put it into a gaming format and deliver that. So again, anybody who's out there going, gee, I wonder if this is for me. The answer is give it a try. There's no holds back not to try. It's the craziest thing ever. I mean, again, you need a computer, you need to register, you need to get in and go. How hard is that? So you may come out of it and at the end of it, you say, wow, that was really geeky. That was way over my head. But at the same time, you might say, I wonder if I can do better next year if. And that if is the if question. It's the graduate question, Jonathan. It's the what is next? Well, if I only knew what was next, I'd be ready for it. So why not start into something?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that this kind of line of conversations actually make me think about, first off, just to say, I'm loving all the movie references. Excellent. So I just put that out there. But I actually, you know, we do have quite a few teachers and coaches on the line. And, you know, one of the things that I was hoping, because both of you have touched on this independently, is, you know, with them on the line in terms of thinking about competitions like our upcoming Space Grand Challenge and other competitions like that, what are some of those technical skills that those coaches and teachers and educators should be focused on? And simultaneously, I would love to get your impressions of what you both believe to be the right requisite soft skills. I've heard you both reference those soft skills as an important element for the future. So Jonathan, let's start with you, but I would love to learn, you know, what you think in terms of the technical and the soft skills environment.
Yeah, I think, you know, the technical skills, you know, a foundation in security awareness, just be what it means to be a connected citizen, right? That's where you start off there. A basic understanding about networking. Beyond that, you can build over time. The critical skills, here are my thoughts. I read a great article this past weekend about how Google approaches leadership and they manage people and train people. And they found this, they found that outstanding leaders delivered outstanding results. And so they began to deconstruct the 6 traits of an outstanding leader. And they found of the 6, only 1 was about expertise and experience. The remaining 5 were about leadership and communication, collaboration, encouragement, teamwork. That's what I found to be the key element today. Most people are starving. The greater we do remote things, the more the desire it is to have a more personal experience with people. And I think those soft skills rule the day. That's going to be how you succeed. And those soft skills are really practiced in gaming. You know, how do you go about others to look at your perspective? How do you collaborate with someone on the other side of the world in a completely different hemisphere, let alone time zone? Then we can talk about languages, how to work with people in different cultures and perspectives. And those skills moving forward are going to be the key elements of how you succeed. But the basic understandings about computing, networking, that data, right? That's how you become a literate citizen moving forward. And that's what I'm hopeful that most high schoolers come out with, is just the ability to understand how to work with technology, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be very human, right?
Right. Bill, do you have any kind of thoughts on that?
I would lump the technical into 3 categories, and that these are develop as many technical skills, certifications in these 3 categories as you can. And surprisingly, a lot of these skills, the technical skills, the certs, are free. Go get them. Just don't stop. But the 3 areas I would stress under that technical, the 3 categories, is digital literacy, understanding where you are as a citizen in the digital world that you live in. And I don't care if you start with your cell phone. I don't care if you start with your home computer or your iPad or whatever it is you use. The medium by which you interact with the rest of the world is where you start with the conversation of understanding digital literacy, how you fit into that digital world that you work in, the things that you do. Now, the next thing that comes out of that understanding, once you begin to understand how it all works and what's going on here, is the aspect of, look at all the data that generates. As Jonathan said, this is really a game of data now. So the question around that is, how do I get to all this data? How does someone collect data from a meta source and find me? There's just too much, you know, and too many people believe that I'm just a speck in this large crowd of dust, right? Well, if you start to look at things like cloud computing, cloud literacy, understanding how data is amassed, how it's assessed, how it's becomes relevant. So cloud literacy, then you can understand that finding you in that haystack is not as hard as it used to be. As a matter of fact, it's way easier. The more data you provide, the more ways I find you in that cloud stack. And so really understanding cloud literacy, how things move, how the data comes to me, all those aspects. That leads you then to the cybersecurity conversation. If you see all that data about you in the cloud, and it's all out there because of the digital literacy, you understand of all the connection points that you are, it behooves you to understand how to protect yourself, your data, your surroundings, your friends, your family, and all those other things, so that that cyber cognizance now plays into your decision-making process. So getting certs and capabilities and building on those three categories, I think, is critical. As far as the soft skills, my wife would never believe I'm about to say this, but I think the listening skill set in this digital world becomes more imperative than ever, because the speed of information transfer is so fast. It's so immediate. You may not get to hear it again once it's been passed. So you really have to develop a sense of belonging, of awareness that creates a listening environment that you can hear for that one sound bit that you really need to be successful. I think the other element of the soft skills that we have to practice is the understanding and empathy part. Not everyone's going to understand what's going on in the world of digital literacy as it evolves. I mean, I know that one of my sons looks at me and says, Grandpa, you're never going to get it. And he says Grandpa on purpose to make it sure I understand I'm really old. So, you know, this is one of those things where we have to understand that all ages are going to be involved in this. All ages, all levels need to be protected. We really need to find ways to describe and deliver information that for us may be very technical, for someone else it may be impossible. So that empathy of understanding and you know, bringing them into the fold.
Yeah.
I think, again, what's really cool about gaming, you end up doing that if you want to be a successful team.
Yeah.
Right. You've got to have everybody. So everybody's got to help you get to the end zone. And that only becomes from that listening and empathy and just, you know, pushing ahead. The other thing that, Jonathan, I'm so glad you brought up the graduate. Graduate emphasizes this immediacy and this aspect of aggressiveness. It's a very interesting world in cyber. The more aggressive you become, the more open you are to being targeted by someone. So you almost have to take chill pill and relax and calm down. And I'm sure Jonathan's seen it. Over time, cybersecurity experts burn out very quickly because of this over aggressiveness to solve a problem, and yet it's unsolvable. You may never find the answer. So again, it's really interesting to see all of these things come through. And one of the things that we do in the competition, we make it so hard that no one can achieve 100%, because that's not the real world of cybersecurity. You never really know if you got 100% the right answer, but you have to best guess and move forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll throw one more at you. Kobayashi Maru from Stargate Academy, right? That's same idea. That there's a wonderful sense of accomplishment if you can learn the skills to deconstruct the challenge of gaming. And I think moving forward, you're right. It's exciting. You actually begin to deal, once you get into the practical world of cybersecurity, you will confront real bad people. And it's very rare in this life that you actually get to interact and come to grapple with a true adversary. And it's better to do it in cyberspace than physically, right? But it is exciting because you're chasing down an intelligent adversary. Or adversaries, and I think it's a wonderful sense of accomplishment when you can deconstruct who that is, that persona, where they're living, where their location, and actually one day call law enforcement on them. I've had that experience. It's amazingly rewarding once you crack the code, and I think this is what gaming and cybersecurity is really about. It's about cracking the code, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, Bill, your comment about certs and how this information is out there for folks in those kind of three arenas kind of leads me to my next question, which is, you know, are there resources, whether that's, you know, YouTube videos, books, like there's a lot of educators on the line right now. So would love to get your impressions of where are those resources that you think are, you know, either absolute musts or things that they should tap into. So Jonathan, would love to start with you. And
yeah, so one of the things at Fortinet, which is where I work, we've made a commitment at the last White House Cybersecurity Summit that we're going to offer free cybersecurity awareness training for K through 12. In fact, during the pandemic, we had trained up to about 850,000 people in cybersecurity at no charge, and that we were going to go to 1 million plus in the next 3 years. And so a lot of this training is readily available. Those basic building blocks about how you're already in the game, whether you like it or not, you're already in the game. And the only question is whether you're going to play it or you're going to be played. And so the basics of cybersecurity awareness training, what does it mean to be a connected citizen? We'll have links for that, where to get that at no charge. There are all types of programs and certifications. I mean, Bill will know them better than I, though, but he has ready access to them.
Yeah, so this is an interesting question, because again, there is maybe too much information available.
Yeah.
Not enough people know exactly where to go to get the right answer for what they need it for. And I really think the question becomes really around, what do you want to know based on what do you want to use it for? So this is the same conversation I have with, say, a small business. Small business will say, well, do I need to spend a lot of money on cybersecurity? And my question to them is, what are you trying to protect? Because based on what you're trying to protect should evaluate to exactly how much you need to spend to protect it. It's a yin yang. How much do I put in to make sure I don't lose? So again, if you want to become a professional in cybersecurity, you can start with basics. You can take online courses. There are certification programs. There are classes offered by multiple vendors. Fortinet's doing a great thing for us to provide that kind of training and awareness, but they want certified people too. And if you ask them, they'll say, this certification is what I really look for as a hiring manager. Those kinds of things become readily available. Community colleges, university, they're all teaching courses in these areas. It becomes what you really want to do in that community as to what you go after to take. I worked with a guy about 8 years ago, Air Force gentleman, and he became an expert in cyber forensics. Nobody was doing it at that time, and everybody thought he was nuts. The guy is having a blast of his life. He's enjoying things, but he specifically rebuilds cyber computer attacks and figures out how the attack occurred, who did it, why did they do it, what did they get out of it, all because of that forensics, that deep dive reverse engineering philosophy. So kind of whatever makes you excited in this community, and try the game to see those things, follow that lead. Because if you're excited and you can follow that lead, you'll be highly motivated to succeed.
Yeah, but my favorite forensic investigator is a retired Chicago homicide detective. And he just took those same sort of gumshoe, interests, right, and instincts, and applied it in cyber. And, he's now one of the most widely recognized forensic experts. So yeah, he's having a time of his life.
Cyber forensics is, it's not like you saw it on NCIS forensics, that cyber, it's not. It's 1,000% more of this you versus the computer. And if you dig that kind of thing, cyber forensics is the way to go. So there's just all these different tools. And again, it can appear to be overwhelming and too hard to do. I'm telling you, if you break it down to the basics, what excites you, what gets you up in the morning, what gets you motivated, there's probably a cyber component that is equal to what your interest is.
We at the CCI, to put a shameless plug in here, we launched the Cyber to Schools program last year.
Right.
And part of the effort in that program was just to help young people understand what resources were out there, and structuring it in a way that yielded kind of a result at the end, whether it was certification or a pursuit of other opportunities, whether that's in college or not. So it's a great point to make. And again, it's all thanks to partners like Fortinet that make that available to us. Transitioning a little bit on the theme of the conversation to about more on the workforce, and just questions around that. Between the two of you, you represent kind of a cross section of different sectors. We have industry, we have the defense industry, we have the technology industry, we have both of you have government experience, both of you have done that from a different perspectives. Bill, academe, I would love to kind of pose the question to both of you is, is there different things that those sectors are seeking in terms of kind of the future workforce, right? In terms of what skills they're looking for, whether that be technical, whether that be on the soft skill side. Would love to just get that, get your thoughts and views on that for folks. So Bill, let's start with you.
Great question. I unfortunately, I would argue most corporate entities don't know what they're looking for when it comes to looking for a cybersecurity expert. They have a feel, they know it when they see it, or they have a requirement that's been levied on them by someone else, i.e. the government or something else. And really kind of, they then approach it from, well, this is what we need. 7 years experience, cybersecurity, running a SOC. It's more simplified. I'm afraid the real answer is you have to be a know-it-all. You have to be able to be inquisitive across multiple spectrum. You have to be the kind of person who is never really satisfied with an answer and you want to dig more. So it's really that inquisitive element. It's back to the skill sets that I was talking about, the listening skill set, the inquisitive skill set, and the empathy. There is nothing worse. I know Jonathan's had the same experience than sitting across from someone who's been hacked and has lost a small fortune or the crown jewels or IP. There's no worse feeling in the world looking at them, knowing inside, had they only done 3-4 things differently, they could have precluded this from occurring. So it's really, understanding all of those things and applying.
Yeah, I remember sitting in an airport in Sydney, Australia, listening to this poor grandmother next to me trying to explain why her Facebook account has been compromised and why someone is using her identity to send fraudulent messages to her family. And she was explaining to it. In my mind, I'm deconstructing the phishing attack. I'm deconstructing when someone approached her. I'm deconstructing how this happened. And you're right, Bill. There are no words for it because those things could have been prevented if she had been properly trained to be a connected citizen. But with regards to what people are looking right now, there is a negative unemployment rate among cybersecurity professionals. So they're generally speaking, they're looking for competence, but they're looking for anybody. They're looking desperately for anyone to come in and they'll train you. They'll pay for your certifications. They'll pay for your education, right? So any of the larger companies in the US, the Fortune 100, 500, will pay for your cybersecurity training, will pay for your certifications. Likewise with the military and the government. Public sector, you get more responsibility quicker at an earlier age than any other environment. And that whether you're an F-16 driver or you're a cybersecurity analyst, that's the case. In private sector, what you want to look for are opportunities whereby the employer is going to have a series of programs. And I mean, to how to bring you up a cycle that says, hey, with these skill sets that we will impart upon you, you can go the technical route, you can go the business route. And those are career building things. Those are generational changing things. But everyone's looking for people to work in cybersecurity today.
Yeah. I think there is such a wide need. It's hard to really put your finger on exactly what you want and how you want it. There's a lot of companies that what they will do is once they hire someone, they reskill them to what they exacting skill sets they want them to have to do their job. So it's not that the academic system failed to deliver what they wanted. The need, the specificity of the need is different than what the academic institution could provide because we don't know all their internal attributes and how they run their firewall and all those different things. So that's where they add their own level of education on top. A lot of people will also go into the cybersecurity business or into this and the company they work for may be different than the last one they did. So they'll send them to continuation training to understand that they move from a Palo Alto firewall to a Juniper firewall. So all of these tech skills are additive. You won't know all of them, but you know at least the basis of why does a firewall do what it does.
Right. Right.
You know, in the last few minutes of the kind of the structured conversation, I want to take it into a fun direction with well, though technically all of it's been fun, but
Yeah, hey, come on.
one that I kind of enjoyed, and it's a little bit off of the theme of movies from earlier on. Jonathan, Bill, a few weeks ago, we all kind of convened and we had a conversation about the lack of heroes in the cybersecurity space.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, as I recall, you mentioned the idea of building the glamour around cybersecurity and how, the challenges and how to do it. I would love to get your for the group here to get your thoughts on that, and Bill likewise, because I know you also have some thoughts on this too.
Yeah, I think in many ways we celebrate the wrong things in this society, right? We celebrate entertainers and athletes rather than we celebrate people who create the innovation and safeguard the innovations that change people's lives. I mean, change millions of people's lives. And I know that we put so much attention on entertainers and a billionaire here, a billionaire there, a billionaire there. I will tell you, look, there's been more innovation and quality of life and wealth generated that was a result of cybersecurity than any professional athletic organization in the world, period. And nobody gets that. Nobody sees that, but I work with these people every day. It's really awesome when you work with someone who safeguarded the NASA missions, right? Who safeguarded the world's first 1,200-kilometer robotic train, right? Who safeguarded the world's first real culture, all based upon robotics. And the changes and the innovation that those things deliver far outweigh any entertainment. So I think one, stop focusing on the shiny bauble, right? But there's a tremendous amount of wealth creation going through that's guaranteed by cybersecurity. So I think what gets celebrated gets measured, and so we need to refocus that upon the heroes. So when I look at heroes, I look at people like Admiral Rogers. I look at the people U.S. Cyber Command. I look. Those are the guys and gals who stood up that basis, right? Those are awesome people. My heroes are, and I'm not an engineer, but it's my boss, it's my CEO, Ken and Michael Z, who developed ASIC specific silicon that accelerated performance, right? But those two gentlemen have generated some $55 billion worth of value for shareholders because of cybersecurity. So yeah, I think the minute people begin to realize that it starts with gaming, the skill sets that take you into this world, that prepare you to enter this industry that is in high growth, high demand, and that creates more. I don't mean monetary value. I mean really quality of life changing, fourth industrial revolution, societal changes for the benefit, right? Those things we really don't celebrate enough, in my opinion.
Awesome. Bill?
Yeah,
right. So
Kayvan has an insider on this. So the question I normally ask to an audience is, give me the name of 2 cybersecurity heroes or bad guys in movies, in the theaters, that we can reflect on. And so after the cricket sound that goes along with the answer, let's see here. All right, okay. So normally what I get, the first one is the guy, okay, Neo and Trinity, good. Two that we normally get are the guy from Black Hat and then Swordfish. So yeah, Mr. Robot is another one. Thank you very much. But Mr. Robot more normalized than others. But if you think about what we're describing here is that Hollywood really hasn't shown us the true side of what cybersecurity looks like. They've shown us either high-end hackers, or they've shown us hackers that are without a gun or with a gun. I mean, I don't know many hackers that carry a gun. The biggest one, the Black Hat, was of course the same guy who plays Thor. So he's 6'5" and goes to the gym 4 times a day. I don't know many people in cybersecurity that equal that image, but we could do some more things in society to recognize those that really know how to do this, that really understand the business, that we could do more to play up to this, which is again what our competition is trying to do, which says, look, you're achieving great things in the world of cybersecurity. You're protecting virtual assets. You're protecting high profile targets. You're protecting our nation. Those are really critical. So let's build our community of respect. Let's build our community of support for each other and go from there. Yeah, lots of Keanu Reeves. Thank you very much. The Matrix. Remember, he's a victim of the cyber world, not the cyber world itself. So that's not necessarily a good thing. So again, I think it's really important to understand that we have to change the image, the facade that we are using for this. It's important to understand how critical these people are to our lives and what we do. And by God, Hollywood, make a damn decent movie that's going to give us a good representation. That's a challenge right there to you, Hollywood. I'm pointing the finger at you. Get off your butt and do something positive here. Let's go.
Well, it's funny that we started with the graduate references and we continued with the movie themes throughout. I've been enjoying the chat. I am actually going to pass over moderator controls to my colleague Reed, who's a student assistant with us at the California Cyber Institute, to run the Q&A session. Folks, please feel free to jump in and throw in questions in the Q&A chat, and we'll address them as they come up. But Reed, the floor is yours, and I'll give you the opportunity to ask the first question.
Thank you. My first question is, as a college student soon entering the workforce, I want to make sure I'm maximizing what I would get out of my studies. What would you say are some priorities we as students should have? And are there any differences between the opportunities in the industry versus the government?
Whoa, I'm going to kick to Jonathan first.
Yeah, so I would take, there's some basic computer science courses you could take, but quite honestly, if you had no background, had a liberal arts background, had never taken a computer science class, and you went into private sector and you joined a company like Fortinet or any other security company, we would train you. We would train you to be proficient through a sales engineer level. When I was hiring managers, I looked for sales engineers because they had the entrepreneurial drive and they had the technical chops to succeed. And then I could train them to be product managers. I can train them on the business side, the skill sets, right? The government side is the same thing. You could go into the government with no background whatsoever, and they would provide you with training, whether civilian or military, right? And then move forward. So I don't want anyone to be intimidated, say, oh my God, I have a BA in fine arts. What am I going to do in cybersecurity? Or I don't have a degree. What am I going to do in cybersecurity? Right. All you really need is a little bit of drive and curiosity. And I think that's what we're really trying to tell you here, is that it's very approachable. It's not daunting. My background is not an engineer. I was a foreign service officer, right? But skills along the way, and I served as a cybersecurity professional at Fortune 20. It's readily done. All you need is a little bit of initiative and curiosity, and just go for it. The training is out there, and you can make up for it very quickly. You do not need a formal background to get into and play this game, right? It's incredibly rewarding.
So Reed, there's an interesting discussion about where Jonathan is leading, that in the military, for a while there was a critical shortage of military intelligence analysts. And so what they decided to do was to create a career field and a specialized training for military analysts. And Foreign Service did exactly the same thing. They had a shortage of analysts. And so with this shortage of analysts, they decided to create a training, an academic training for that person. And then they hired them and put them into the job. And what they found out right away was these people were failing miserably. They were failing miserably because they didn't have the skill sets of this varied background and all sorts of other things: geologists, geography, political science, social science, the fine arts. All those other things bore a greater response than those who had been specifically trained to deliver that analytical support structure. Now, part of that is human theory, part of that is the training aspect, but really the answer is, and I'm a poli-sci social sci undergraduate major. I joined the military and they helped me learn all these skill sets, whether I wanted to or not. But in the end state, it worked out really well. I think the key becomes, again, if this is something you really want to pursue, you can start doing things on your own now, your own search, your online, working at CCI like you're doing now, picking up those skills, getting the topics and knowing where to go. and then pursuing that specific path. There is one advantage I will tell you about working for the government that you do not have in the commercial sector. In working for the government, I have worked with some of the world-class hackers that work on behalf of the government, and those hackers have a free get-out-of-jail card. What they do on behalf and for the government is protected. You don't get that free get-out-of-jail card if you're in the commercial sector, right? So that's kind of a cool aspect that not many people really think about, but that is an opportunity that's there for you.
Awesome. Thank you for your robust answers. I appreciate it. One question we got from the audience would be, what would be the absolute worst thing you could lose if you've been hacked? I guess that goes to either of you.
So, your life, that's already happened in hospitals. I'll tell you the most practical thing you can do to help secure yourself, your family, your friends. Go get a credit freeze, right? A credit freeze means that no one can use your data to take out a loan, take out a mortgage, to monetize your data. So I used to carry security clearances, and when OPM, Office of Personnel Management, was breached, they lost all of my data, my biometrics, everything about me. And one of the things that you can do is go out and request to each of the 4 major credit reporting agency, or you can hire someone to do it for you. But they will just put a freeze on your credit so that no one can, even if they have my fingerprints, my biometrics, everything about me, they cannot take out a loan. So you demonetize the risk. And that's, if there were one piece of advice I would give anybody, is go out and get a credit freeze. Credit monitoring happens after the fact, okay? So, but a credit freeze protects you from being damaged. But there's lots you can lose, and that's why it starts off with the idea that you're already in the game. Cybersecurity, we're in a digital society today, and cybersecurity essentially is the guardrails and the framework around how which we live and conduct commerce there. So you're already playing. The only question is you're going to be actively involved. You understand what's happening, right? And so, yeah, that's what there's lots to lose, but essentially I start off with a credit freeze first.
Yeah. Let me try it this way. Dear Anonymous, what's the most important thing that you want protected is the answer to your question. That's how all cybersecurity conversations should start. Yeah. What are the crown jewels? What are the things that most affect me? What do I need to make sure I'm protecting? What do I need to make sure I'm protecting for my family, my friends, my work, those sorts of things? That's where that question really kind of should start. It's a very interesting question that you ask it, because it could be used 2 different ways. So I think you really have to kind of take and if there's anything I've learned in cybersecurity, it's really kind of a self-awareness situation. It's about you putting your profile out there. It's what you say, what you do on a computer. It's interesting, I've been around a long time. People, when they first came out, used to name their computers. They gave them cutesy names that they put on it, and they would put it on the side of their computer, and Ethel would be there, and they'd go type on Ethel every day, and it would be the coolest thing ever. That was the worst thing we could have ever done, was when we personalized it and made it, and we told it all the family secrets. I mean, I did it. When I first figured out how to use Excel, I made a spreadsheet of all the most valuable stuff in my house, and where I hid it, what I did with it. And, I kept it right there, unprotected on the computer. And oops.
Lesson learned, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to Kayvan, but I really appreciate you guys during this Q&A section. That's super. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, just note that in the chat, someone put out the information on how you get the Fortinet NSC1 training. So it's in there. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Reed. Bill, just to add some levity to those comments. My first computer that I built, I named it Skynet because I thought it was that clever.
I have no,
Bringing it back home, right?
You just ruined it all for everybody. That's where it all ends up. Yes, Terminator's right around the corner. Already said it. AI. It's all of those things. Let me also. I want to take this moment to put a shout out to the CISO for Cal Poly, who thinks he looks like Thor. No, sorry, Douglas, you do not. You don't qualify in that category. Nice try though, but
Well, gentlemen, we have about 4 minutes before we wrap, but I wanted to give you both the opportunity to have any last remarks or thoughts. Jonathan, let's start with you. If you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to say a big thanks for allowing me to spend this time with you. It's quite the honor to be here. I would say, look, it's a growing field. It's not going away. It's only going to accelerate. Gaming provides you with the baseline skills to really enter this industry and doing something really impactful with your life. I think that's something we all want. And finally, don't be daunted by it. It's very approachable. It's very, very doable. And I highly encourage you to take that first step and participate in this gaming exercise. So thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Bill, last word.
You don't know what it's like until you try it. Those are famous last words. There's a lot of opportunity out here. There's a lot of jobs available. Jonathan hit the nail on the head. There's an anticipated 650,000 positions for cybersecurity across the US. Name any town, any region, you can get a job in this. Why isn't everybody moving to it? Because it's not well understood. Things like the competition are going to help you understand what it's all about. What are the cool things you want to do? Why would you want to do it? Why would I even want to think about this? And one of the last things I want to add is it's in every place we're going. So as we go to space, cybersecurity is going to be there with us. So great timing in our lives to be involved in this experience. Get on board.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we are, as we close out for this conversation, we want to just share some information for the upcoming Space Grand Challenge. As both Jonathan and Bill have mentioned, registration is still open. Please come and register. We've shared the link inside of the chat, and we'll be certainly sharing the link again via email for all that registered for the event. October 7th through the 9th, with game day being October 8th. So it's just right around the corner, but we encourage you to come and play and have fun. Thank you both to Jonathan and Bill for this great conversation. Thank you to Fortinet for being a sponsor and a partner with us. And we're thrilled, and we're looking forward to having some fun in space.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.